Welcome back to Rules of Engagement. We're on a Talking Tactics episode, and we're on the last segment of the episode. This is the question and answer section. If any of you guys have questions, tweet them to me at ISAxLab, and this is the segment we cover them. We do this segment after every episode, Monday through Thursday, so feel free to tweet me more questions now, and maybe we'll get to them on tomorrow's episode. But for today, we're going to cover a couple questions. Our first question is going to be over here. It's going to be from Mr. Jake Burns. The question is, what is the most important thing to focus on if you want to improve your overall skill? And that's some people say, oh, that's a vague question. This type of question is one that's actually relevant to everyone, right? Because everyone wants to improve in the game. And the most important thing is to do deliberate practice for skills that apply to every type of game of StarCraft you can imagine yourself in. So deliberate practice is where you focus on basically a single element. I'm trying to really abbreviate this really quickly, and then you repeat that practice over and over again until that thing becomes more intuitive and you just get better at it. So I will give an example. The most important skill in StarCraft overall is your macro ability. So you want to only practice ways that improve macro. The way to do that is to do builds where macro is like 99% of what goes on in the build. Those type of builds are called timing builds, mostly 2-base timings. There are some 1-base ones and 3-base as well, but basically 2-base timing builds. You have your timing, you want to hit it, you say I want to have X units at 9 minutes and move out and attack them. And then all you're focusing on for the whole game is basically how to get that many units as fast as possible. And if you keep doing that over and over and over again, it may not be the most interesting games, but you'll improve your macro in the most efficient way possible. So let's jump to one more question really quickly. Let me move this over here, and this is going to be what's a Zerg's most efficient way of breaking a contain in Zerg vs Terran. So Zerg vs Terran, a lot of times Terran get the bunkers, they get the siege tanks. Let's say on Antigua Shipyard, this is one of the big ones. They basically have the middle covered with tanks, and you have a hard time getting past your 3 bases. You can take a 4th and a kill with a drop, and you can't support it with your army because you have to go through the middle, and then you get blown up by siege tanks, right? So the most effective ways, there's basically, it's the same way we actually covered this. If you want to learn about dealing with contains, that was on defending contains. It was on last Thursday's episode, and one of the community critique was how to break and contain, and that was Terran versus Terran. But the same principles apply, right? The most important thing is to scout your opponent, to know where their troops are laid out. If there's any holes in them, then you can run through those holes. And especially with Zerg, with speedlings, let's say there's a section where they have Marines and tanks, but there's an area where you can run a whole bunch of speedlings by and only one tank could shoot them and they'll be out of the range of the Marines. You do that and all of a sudden they have to send units elsewhere, right? They have to send units after the Zergians. Then your Zergians can circle around and you can set up a flank, and their contain's weaker because they took units out of it, and your Zergians are back in the battle and you can hit from multiple angles. So if you can run around, do some counterattacks, get them to have to divert units from the contain, that's great. The other way is find one single portion of that contain and focus your entire army on it. If it's Ultralists, if it's Infestors, if it's Broodlords, you break through one portion, and then you run through that empty gap, and you circle around behind them, and now you're actually surrounding your opponent instead of them having to contain on you. Maybe I'll go over that a little more in depth in a later episode, but for now, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned because shortly we're going to run a Tournament of Champions. It's going to be live first partying, a great match. I'm extremely psyched for it. I think you guys should be too. Stay tuned for that.